isn't it?
Yeah,
Cute.
very good.
It's cute having little people. The things that they say to you are adorable, especially the way they say it.
Right.
Hey, folks, this is Mark Elias. Today I'm here with Darlene Bell, the creator of Military Connections. The program is about young adults with special needs, and they have the opportunity to learn, work, and social skills needed for the workplace. Military Connections is a program designed to help veterans adapt to life after service. Darlene, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I really appreciate it. So Mama Dar, people call you Mama Dar at the barn. What does that mean?
That's Katrina and Adam, mostly two of the veterans. I think that it's because they feel comfortable with me as they're getting back out and starting to build trust and get back into what a new normal is for them.
Yeah.
I think that they look at me, especially my age, with this group of veterans that we have, that it's more like a family. We're creating a barn family there for them, and it makes it more comfortable for them to come there.
Sure. Is trust a recurring challenge of veterans that are reacclimating?
Absolutely, absolutely. Trust is one of their biggest issues, and it's one that the horses are able to help with tremendously. And I have a quote here. This is a quote by Ronald Reagan that says, "There's nothing on the inside of a man that the outside of a horse can't cure."
Oh, I
And
love that.
that's really true, because in order to work with the horses at the barn, you have to build a trust with them, and you have to be in the moment with them. You have to just be present. And so it allows them to let go of some of the issues that they're dealing with on a regular basis and just enjoy.
Sure.
Mhm.
It's interesting. I wouldn't think that trust is a challenge to overcome when reacclimating. I'm just kind of like thinking out loud. These young people, men and women, go to war in strange places, and then I guess they're on edge and they're constantly at threat. And so I guess reacclimating is like they're not really at threat for their lives, but mentally that's what's occurring.
I think because when you're on a deployment, when you're in country, you are really on alert and hypervigilant all the time. When you come home and family is so excited that you're home, your mind is going back to all the trauma that you dealt with over a year's time period, and you can't be everything to everybody as soon as you come back home. And some of them, it is a lengthy process for them to get back to what is a new norm.
Yeah, yeah, right. I'm sure that probably the challenge of reacclimation may be even tougher than the deployment itself.
I know that my grandson came home on Memorial Day in 2010, and we had helped his wife get an apartment set up that they would be moving into. And the one thing that they didn't have was a TV. And so once we had a luncheon together, they went to Best Buy to get a TV. And Nathan wanted to go to Gander Mountain first and buy a gun, because he'd had 3 weapons on him for an entire year, and he couldn't face going into an unknown situation, not knowing how many people are in there, without being armed. It was a real struggle for him.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? I don't blame him for that vigilance. His life is on the line in country, and you can't just turn it on, turn it off. I know Nathan was very special to you and your husband George. He lived with you since it was like eighth grade, right?
8th grade, he came to live with us, and he lived with us until just a few months prior to deployment, when he got married,
Wow.
and then he deployed. And we actually would, and I think that that's the different thing about going on a deployment now, as opposed to like during my time frame growing up, it was the Vietnam War, and that was when you wrote letters. Now with social media and everything, I sometimes think that that's got to be a struggle to keep your head in the game when you can connect with people back home so quickly. And so every Sunday we would have family dinner, and then we would come into my office and we would get Nathan on Skype and talk to him. And after doing this for like a month, there was a Sunday Nate said, when everybody goes out, Graham, you need to close the door. I need to talk to you. And when I talked to him, he said, I can't do this. I can't do this and talk to all of you. And then tonight I go out on maneuvers. I can't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's totally different now than it was back in the 70s and 80s.
I could get that because he's got to be vulnerable and connected and experience emotion with his family. And
Right.
then you have to be stolid, like not emotional, clear, a high level of function, a high level of tactics. The two are not compatible.
No, they're not. So I don't know how you switch back and forth from that. And, it's a great way during a deployment now for families to stay connected, even when you have children. But I can't imagine what additional stress that puts on the soldier, but also puts on the parent who's at home without that soldier to help raise those kids. So it's a definite struggle.
Yeah. Social media is a funny thing. It provides a lot of benefit in that it allows people to create connection. It also can create a lot of conflict in that people, well, certainly for your late grandson, Nathan, having that connection, trying to connect, but it being painful. And then, of course, people like me that I'm not on deployment. I have a job. I have a very traditional family life. And social media to me is challenging because I always see everyone's best face. Everyone puts up their best face.
Yeah.
A projection of their best of, so to speak. It's an advertisement. It's an individual advertisement. And what I find myself doing is keeping up with the Joneses. And it leaves me with like, this sucks. I don't want to keep seeing all these things.
Right. Absolutely.
Do you use social media for like social things and just kind of posting about what goes on in your world?
I'm on Facebook so that I follow all of my family. So I keep up with what they're doing. And it definitely allows me to share things that Dreams on Horseback is doing, which is one of the most important things in my life is being involved there. So, but that's it. I'm not up on Instagram or Twitter. I don't do any of that. I'm a little too old. Unless I've got a grandchild sitting beside me helping, I don't do that.
Speaking of which, I'm very impressed, Darlene, that you managed to log into this platform so easily. Did you get help?
No. Well, since the barn closed, we've been doing Zoom. My church does Zoom. Yeah, so I feel a little bit more into this century.
So when I know that your participation in Dreams on Horseback, it started what, like 4 years ago?
It's almost 5 years ago. In my granddaughters, Morgan and Lindsay. Lindsay was a horse leader there, and Morgan was a sidewalker. And Morgan was going to be going to OSU, and Lindsay was in her senior year of high school and preparing to go to Miami University. So they asked me to take the training so that I could become a sidewalker and pick up their hours. So I actually went to the barn 3 times where I never got out of my car because I was extremely afraid of horses. If somebody walked by me with a horse, I tried to blend into the wall and hold my breath till they got by. So it was quite a challenge for me to get there. So the 4th time I actually got out of the car and went to the training and became a sidewalker, and then later became a handler, and then started taking riding lessons. And so I was doing that for maybe about a year when that was when I went and asked Jennifer if we could do something for military. But yeah, it has been tremendous for me. In my beginning time there, I lost 28 pounds walking around that arena with horses, and 2 of my medications went away. So it was a healthy choice for me also. Yeah, I say all the time to everybody, we get back way more than what we are capable of giving there. It is the most rewarding thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah, I was just watching a TEDx video that Ellen sent out on the newsletter,
Okay.
and it was about TEDx is a technology education and design, I think it is. It's a nationwide kind of forum for forward-thinking, progressive thought people
Right.
to share a message. Have you seen any of the TEDx?
Brene Brown.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think his name was Eric Cooper, I believe. And he was talking about the health benefits of volunteering, and that it's so extraordinary what the volunteers receive. Often it's far more impactful than what the participants of the organization receive.
Absolutely.
But
And I got to tell you, Jennifer is one of the most modest people that I've met. She reminds me a lot of my husband, and she makes everybody there feel like they are the greatest thing since sliced bread. I mean, she makes you feel like the place couldn't operate without you, and we all know that it can. But she builds, she builds heroes. Is what? Yeah, it's amazing.
that is really, yeah, I haven't had the chance to spend time with Jennifer in person, but we did do an interview. We've had telephone calls,
Hmm.
and it's very wise.
Oh yes.
I get from her there's a real wisdom there, many layers like an onion.
Okay. Yeah, she's an amazing lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, um, tell me a little bit about this donation that you and your family made. It was hugely significant in honoring your late husband.
It was my husband George. It was in his first marriage. He was in the army for 12 years, and it it was important to him. He would not have gotten out if it weren't for health issues that he had. And so on the fifth anniversary of his passing, together we have four children. He had two and I had two. And the five of us decided that we would do a mechanical lift so that we could take veterans who are using a wheelchair with dignity to the back of a horse. And so that was something that we decided to do. And it was, um, it, I can't remember. I think it's been 2 years since we did it. It was in a February, and my daughter came up from Texas. I have a daughter in Pennsylvania. She came. My son in Indiana, and I have a daughter here. And with the four of us, we all got to be together and be at the dedication for that lift in his memory. So there's a plaque at the barn, and it's a photo of George on the day that Nathan came back from Iraq,
That's
and the George Bell therapeutic lift. So it's a phenomenal thing. It matters to me and the kids that we did that for him.
yeah, that's great. What comes to mind, which is kind of esoteric, a little bit abstract, is that you're lifting up people, which is the very thing that you and your family are doing. With your participation, with your generosity. It's kind of cool to think of it that way. What's the enrollment process like? So if I have a client, as you know, I'm a real estate agent here in Columbus. I have a client I work with that is a former Navy. He was in the Navy. He's now retired, I believe. How does he get involved?
Um, he would he can email me, Darlene at dreamsonhorseback.org, and we would find out what he's interested in and get forms sent to him. And we're slowly bringing programs back in, but we would definitely get him into the barn and find out what his interests are and work with him from there.
It's as easy as
It's as easy as that. Yeah, we have grants that cover the programs that we offer to veterans, so no veteran pays for any program at our barn. And we're growing those programs. We actually have, we haven't started it back up yet because of the COVID-19 restrictions, but we have military family riding. We were having it before where a veteran or active military, they get to come with a child and take 4 Saturdays of riding lessons together, and it helps them build a relationship together again. And most of the times when they start that program, the very first lesson, we have staff and volunteers who go over tacking and grooming, but they get your horse ready so we have more time in the arena. And you actually will have the child on the horse blindfolded, and the parent has to lead the horse and lead them around the arena so the child trusts the parent and the horse. And then they switch roles, and the child will lead the horse around with the parent blindfolded. And it just really helps them build trust and learn something together. It's really rewarding. We had a a veteran who came there with his daughter and rode, and he said that the best part of it was that he could relax and feel safe, that he didn't take his kids very many places because he was so hyper vigilant, but to actually be able to come to our barn and be on a horse with his daughter and ride and feel safe was the most rewarding thing for him. He's come several times, which then that they feel safe and protected in our area.
It's awesome.
Yes.
Was at the facility once, just by happenstance. I happened to drive down the path with my son looking to pet the horses. I met somebody at the barn. This was years ago. And then I reconnected with Dreams, and I went to check it out, I think about 2 weeks ago. And who showed me? It was Holly. Holly walked me over to the path near the forest and showed me the paths. Those are so cool. I want to do that.
Oh, the trail, the sensory trail down below. Yeah, that's very cool.
So,
yeah. And there's the sensory trail for our therapeutic riding students, but then there's also, you can cross the creek, and Jennifer's farm and the neighbor's farm is like 55 acres, and there's trails there where they can take the veterans on Friday nights riding.
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's a more challenging ride for them.
Yeah, so for those folks who are listening and viewing, what I saw was it's a path that goes through the forest. It is the most tranquil setting that is calm and quiet, and you just hear nature.
You do.
And I had done that once. I don't remember where I was. I think it was the West Coast, and I had the most fun. I did it once on a horse. I did it once on an elephant, which that was pretty cool too.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Thailand for my honeymoon, we went there and we rode elephants through the jungle, which that's like a big horse, like a really big horse.
Really big. Yeah. Really big. Yeah. That would frighten me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did a trail ride with my granddaughters in Hawaii, where we went up a mountain and through a valley and down, where we were actually in the water then riding. It was phenomenal.
Wow. Oh,
Yeah.
nice. So you have a horse at the stable that's one of your fave. Well, two of them. One is Philippe. He's an older horse, very, very docile.
Mhm.
The other is Daisy, which is one of the biggest horses, and she's a ripe one. She tried to take a bite out of me.
Oh, yeah. Well, sometimes that's just a way that they're showing you that they realize that you're in their space a little bit. Yeah. So you just are a little careful and watch what you're doing. If they're doing that, they're trying to tell you something, that they're letting you know that you're doing something that they feel a little bit threatened by.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about horses, so I'm really looking forward to the training program with your leaders, more of the volunteers and the barn staff. I feel a little bit apprehensive. Unlike dogs, where I have formal training, I was previously a dog trainer. I know like pretty much nothing about horse body language.
Okay. And when, well, like you were saying about the sensory trail, when I was fairly new and I was a leader, and we would go down on the sensory trail. When you go down with the horses, because they're prey animals, they are always sniffing the air. And if there's a deer in the woods or something, they're definitely going to have their ears pinned, and they're going to be prancing a little bit. And so in the beginning, I had a tendency to hold my lead rope tighter. That made them more tense because they felt my tension. And one of my instructors, Veronica, said, Dar, when we get down there, you've got to take a deep breath. You got to relax your shoulders, let that breath out, and relax that lead rope. And when you do, you will see the horse just totally relax and trust you, because he feels that you've got it, you've got his back, and the two of you are going to manage. So it can be a very rewarding experience going on a trail ride with them.
It's the same thing with dogs. Smell an actual pheromone. They can smell the sweat, which they interpret as fear or apprehension. And when I was in New York City, we always used to remind pet owners that when you hold the leash tight, you're communicating with your dog about apprehension, vigilance. There's something about to happen. So I actually do appreciate with what you just said.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that you had mentioned, I think I saw it in an article, which was really a poignant quote that is very much what Dreams on Horseback is about, especially during COVID, which is in darkness, someone turns on the light.
Oh, yeah. I think I wrote that in a letter to Jennifer, and it may have been at the time that we did the lift dedication, but when you lose your spouse, when you lose a grandson to an undiagnosed PTSD incident, there is a lot of darkness in your life. And when you end up in a place like Dreams on Horseback, where you have the ability to interact with the horses, but the staff, the volunteers, our participants, their families, you cannot leave that barn without feeling like somebody turned on the light in your world. It's the most amazing thing to me.
Yeah. I've been there since March, so that's got to be really tough to be away from it so long.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
It is. Yes. And I definitely need to be walking that arena with a horse to get some the COVID-19 19 pounds off.
So funny. Yeah, it's like the
Yeah.
freshman. This is COVID-19. When is Dreams going to be back on its feet and kind of running?
They started in May and brought back independent riders who can groom and tack on their own. And the lesson time and the number of participants in each lesson is cut back so that you can do social distancing. In the month of June, we're going to start bringing back the Friday night military program and bring back some of our more independent therapeutic riders. So it'll be a process till we learn all the protocols, and as the governor lifts some of the requirements, we'll be able to eventually get, I'm hoping, everybody back in, but we just have to do what's safe for our staff, for our riders and our volunteers and our horses.
Yeah, that's great. So for any military veterans or active military, I can't encourage you enough. You have to check this out. It is the most amazing thing to see what Dreams on Horseback does for the military community. It's as easy as just reaching out. You can email Darlene directly at DARLENE@dreamsonhorseback.org. Darlene,
Right.
you are a gift from the heavens. We love you.
Thank you so much.
We love you. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Mark Elias. This is New Albany Realty, and look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.